There's definitely mutual respect there. And listen, I went into his change room after the loss to Lara. He was there with his family, very upset, and I went over to him, shook his hand. So I'm talking about, I'm going to fight Lara next if I do. You've got my hand here, Leigh, and I'd be honoured to give you a fight and share it with you. So I've been in that position when I'd been knocked out, beat for my first time, going into that rematch. Jesus, the amount of demons that we're facing. You know, Josh, if you get beat, yeah, you know, what if you lost it? What if you haven't got that punch resistance no more? What if he's fucking knocked out you?
Hello and welcome to One-on-One Boxing with me, your host, Rob Tebbutt. As always, I'd like to remind everybody to please like, comment and subscribe. Turn your notifications on for more boxing content. Now that's out of the way, welcome back to another edition of One-on-One with, and I am delighted to be joined by the two-time featherweight champion of the world, the Leeds Warrior, Josh Warrington. Josh, thanks for coming down to ID HQ, to Boxing News HQ. Thanks very much for joining us.
Thanks for having me. Impressive setup, and it's a pleasure to be here.
Wow.
It's a pleasure to be here.
Thanks very much. I was really admiring your shoes there. Can we see for the camera?
See what?
There we go.
Snazzy.
They're not bad.
I like Ben & Jerry's, and the Night Dunks are alright. So perfect collaboration for myself.
Is that what you did? Is that what the collab is?
Yeah. Chunky Dunkies they're called. Ben & Jerry's Chunky Dunkies.
Oh mate.
So they're quite snazzy.
You know you've made it when you've got yourself a pair of like Ben & Jerry's collab dunks. I think they're really cool.
Thank you very much.
There we go. So what you been up to today?
So been down here, bits of media from early this morning. Radio X, Talk Sport, a few other national newspapers, and finish off this afternoon speaking to the real boxing people.
There we go. Well, thanks very much. Save the best till last. You heard it here first.
Always.
From Josh Warrington. You have a big fight to announce. We've been waiting with bated breath, but it's finally come. Yourself and Leigh Wood squaring off. Mm-hmm. Relief to get it over the line?
Yes, I think so. Just because I think the main thing, Rob, is inactivity for myself. You know, I've always feared this, and I've always said that's one of the factors that drives me on to keep winning. I always use Carl as an example. Frampton, he beats Leo Santa Cruz, there's a rematch, loses to Leo Santa Cruz, and then he didn't fight for a world title for nearly 2 years, and that was against myself. You know, it's someone with a massive fan base, massive profile, and still can't get a fight at the top level. And it's like you lose a fight and all of a sudden you've seen better days. Well, surely you should be able to walk straight back into another one, keep yourself relevant. After losing a narrow defeat to Lopez back in December, I got myself straight back into the gym. Had a bit of a sulk over Christmas. Got myself into the gym, started training away. Messages from the Matchroom team telling me that it's going to be a big year for me. That's enlightening to hear. It's reassuring as well. You know, big year. That's it. They're right behind me. Go down to the Wood Ladder. One fight. You promise the winner. You promise, no matter what happens, you promise the winner. Thank you. Are you sure? You promised it. Here's my hand. Right, fair enough. Even after all the drama, the big commotion, the spitting, the knockout, whatever it is said in the ring, still after, regardless, you're still going to be the next. So my head's on that, training. And it's like, kind of like a bird leading you on a bit, or someone, if someone who wants to get in a relationship with someone and they keep giving them little hopes, and then next minute they go get with your fucking best mate. Not speaking from experience there, but that's kind of like what it was. And head on the game, fully training, fully focused. I'm in camp. This is live trilogy. This is where I can put them ghosts to bed. Didn't really get a chance to do it after the rematch in Headley, because obviously the cut happened. But even my mindset going into it was still a bit shaky until after the first round. But dusting off the last Lopez one, I'd be going into a strong mindset, and I'd be confident in stopping him. And then obviously I'm more or less at home, gets a phone call, Josh, it's not happening. Right, so what next? Well, you can wait for him to have a rematch. Then when I'm going to be fighting, well, September, October time. But I want to be out in between that. Well, keep yourself active. We'll see what we can do for you. All right. Then I hear that I might be out in June time. Start ticking on for that. Aim to peak towards that. And then, for whatever reason, we couldn't get an opponent off Lion. Sonny Edwards ends up topping it. It's like, fuck me, 6 months have passed already. And this is the side that other people don't see, people outside the sport don't see. And because I'd kind of taken myself off social media while I just fucking trained. Just trained. That was all my focus. And some people might think, fuck me, is he still boxing? Has he quit? We haven't seen him. He's not put a picture of himself with a selfie inside the gym all sweaty, or he's not had a video of himself punching the bag. Yeah, he's definitely quit. So you're not relevant there, and then the fights don't happen. It's just you lose a bit of, not to say sight of things happening, but you get a bit frustrated. So take a week or two off and then come back. The Wood Lara 2's happened. Obviously Wood's victorious, and all of a sudden he's set on cards, and it'll be more or less 10 months since I boxed, which is a long time, and especially as you get older, momentum and all that. But my body has been training physically more or less throughout the year. I've been constantly sparring, improving, and glad that we're finally there, and I can get back to winning ways.
Just you mentioned there about staying in the gym, but keeping your head focused, because I always speak to fighters at the time. There's a difference between being in the gym. There's a difference between training towards a date.
Yes.
Now, explain to people the difference for that and what it makes you feel like when those dates don't materialise.
So when you're ticking over, I mean, my ticking over is always intense, always has been. I always like to. I'm not saying I'm vain or anything like that, because I get fucking stick online. Call me Space Raider and all sorts, but I like to be in good shape. And I know how good I feel when I'm training. When I'm sat at home fucking eating a Domino's pizza and so Ben and Jerry's, then I feel like a disgrace. Professional athlete at the top of the game, then you should be training like that. And I've known for years when you have a gap in between the fights, you think, fuck me, why did you even stop? But you have got to have a gap. You have a chance for your body to recover, and you've got to recover mentally. But I always like to keep myself in there, to keep myself ticking over. Now, when you're ticking over, pressure's not really on. So there's some stuff that I do when I'm sparring, for instance, that I'd never do once I hear that fight date's announced. And even when it's kind of whispers, I'll still not have my full head on it until it's officially announced, because then when it's announced and it's on, it's definitely on. Because obviously I've been in the game a long time, and there's been whispers of fights happening, and then it just disappears and dwindles, and fucking getting ready for now. So when I'm sparring, maybe it'll be full on game, but then I might take a round of where I just fucking I've got my hands down and trying to work on being elusive and stuff like that. Intensity is always there, but soon as that fight is announced and you're getting to camp, then the pressure's on, and I walk into the gym with different mentality, because every session now, it's one more down until the fight. So you want to make sure that the game plan's off to a T. It's all there. Sparring's off to a T. Your fitness levels are high, and everything's coming off soundly. So that's different for me. Soon as I say we're getting a camp, I'm always in camp anyway. You should always be in camp. You're a professional athlete. But when the date's finally announced and the countdown starts, then that's when the horse blinker's gone for me, and it becomes really serious.
Yeah, just get that kind of that final bit of focus. You just zoom in, don't you? You just zone in completely on what you're doing.
My dad will come up with a game plan. The training sessions get scheduled. For instance, when I got back into the gym in January time, sessions could be a bit fucking all over the place. So come in, right, doing some pad works tonight. Okay, doing some pad work. Right, do a bit of circuit after finish off. Yeah, do a bit of circuit. We got trainers with you. We're going to do some sprints on the street. Yeah, fucking hell. All squeezing that in one session, in like a 3-hour session. You wouldn't normally do that when you're, like I say, in camp. Because
it's a lot more regimented, isn't it?
Yes, everything's structured. Right, that days are going to be S&C. That day's when you're going to go on track. That day's when you're going to be sparring. That day's when... Because everything... If you have you're ticking over and you're sparring away, you get caught a few and you're not working on a game plan, you're just trying to bet yourself in other ways. So you might be working on left hook that time, but if it don't come off, it don't really matter. Whereas I put myself under pressure. Like I say, my dad, right, I want you to do this. All over these few rounds, I want you to do just work on this specifically. So then my head's just fully on that. On the pad sessions, everything's got to be, right on point. Whereas, again, I'm not saying you don't want to make mistakes, you don't want to drop your hands and stuff like that, but you're not really working on something specific because you never know who your opponent's going to be. You're just trying to bet yourself as maybe getting the right technique on certain punches. So everything just gets a bit more sharp and a bit more tighter when we're in camp.
You mentioned there about specific to the opponent. The fight is now done. You've got
Yes.
Leigh Wood.
Yeah.
What do you make of him as an opponent? Because I'd imagine, like, over the years, I mean, probably less so in the last couple of years, but this probably wasn't a fight that has been on your radar in your career. Is that fair to say?
Yeah, massively fair to say. I mean, let's have it right. On when I boxed Lara, first time behind closed doors, he was fighting my gym mate Reece Mould for British title, and I don't think that he would have even thought that I would be mixing it with him, because my trajectory with them was fight Kanju 8 weeks later in Manchester behind closed doors for a Ring Magazine belt, and then go to the States, then potentially move up weights, and then see where we go from there. Maybe if there's a fight big enough to get me out of bed. But obviously it didn't go like that, and after Leigh beat Reece, he was gifted the opportunity with Kanju. Obviously I had the Lara rematch that ended how it ended, so Lara's status grew over here, and that made him a bit of an opponent for Wood, because Lara was the man who beat the man. So yeah, he probably never thought he'd be in this position. But it's funny because I remember when we'd re-signed with Eddie and we were looking at Kanju before lockdown and before all that came into play, we was talking about fighting at Headingley Stadium for the Ring Magazine belt, 20,000 or so there, and my dad had mentioned Leigh Wood a few times about bringing him in as a sparring partner. I'm going to get in contact with Leigh and make sure we can get him in, and I think he'd be good. He's quite tall and a bit rangy and stuff like that, and all of a sudden he's an opponent. So yeah, credit to him over the last few years, because he's been given the opportunities taken them, and sometimes that's all you need.
Yeah, and in very different ways. I mean, you've gone about things very differently in your career, but you're both two fighters. I mean, not to say that fighters don't deserve anything, but you're two fighters who have had to really graft in your career.
Yeah.
You're in very different ways. So there must be. It seems as though from the outside looking in, there is that mutual respect between you two.
Yeah, most definitely. I mean, we've bumped into each other a fair few times, and I don't know if after the Reece one, I think I seen him over in a show at Bolton. I think Maxie were fighting then, and like a bit between his teeth. But I've seen him since that. Things are more relaxed. I think there is that mutual respect. I do recall around 2013-14, I think before they boxed Scav McDonald, that he'd been shouting my name out for a while. So but I got everyone calling me out back then. But yeah, there's definitely mutual respect there. And listen, I went into his change room after the loss to Lara, and I went in just myself, and I was obviously very distraught. We weren't expecting that to happen. He was, in my eyes, winning that fight, and he just got caught with a good shot, and he was there with his family, very upset. And I went over to him, shook his hand, told him should be proud of himself, and I said, like, if I'm talking about I'm going to fight Lara next. If I do, you've got my hand here, Leigh, and I'd be honoured to give you a fight and share it with you. So from then onwards, and he's obviously commentated on my fights in past as well. From then onwards, I think there's always been a mutual respect, and I would probably see it build up like me and Carl did a few years ago. Shake each other's hand, knock fuck out of each other, and have a pint after.
Were you impressed with Leigh against Mauricio Lara? You know better than anybody how dangerous Lara can be on his night. Impressed with the way that he went about things in the rematch?
I was, but I feel like I'm all at the same time going to discredit him a little bit, just because I didn't think Lara were fully up the races. I give Leigh more credit for him taking the fight straight away, because I thought I shouldn't do that. It's far too early to jump back in. And obviously I've been in that position when I'd been knocked out, beat for my first time, going into that rematch. Jesus, the amount of demons that we're facing going into that one, and you're speaking confident and you're training hard and you believe in yourself, but bloody hell, them demons just sit there, you know, doubts that you never had in the past, just lurking. And you know, anytime you take your half or you had a tired day or whatever, they just pounce out with you. Fucking hell, Josh, if you get beat, yeah, you know, what if you lost it? What if you haven't got that punch resistance no more? What if he's fucking knocked out with you? What if it's always been a fucking fluke up to this point? You know, you start to wonder. Obviously, I reminded myself after the first round that it was just a bad night at the office. But yeah, Leigh got straight back on the horse. You know, under 100 days, and stuck to the game plan. But a lot has to be said about how Lara fucking went into that. He's, you know, there's fuck all Leigh can do about that, can he? You know, he did what he had to do, and that was to win.
Yeah, you can only
stick to a game plan.
Beat what's put in front of you on the night.
Yeah.
The Mauricio Lara trilogy bout. I assume that whatever happens between you and Leigh Wood, of course, you're looking to win that fight. Of course, does the Lara trilogy bout, is that still something that you want to a wrong or a perceived wrong?
I'd like to. Obviously, kind of fucking disappeared. Well, not. The heat for it has disappeared. Obviously, the dirty bastard spat at me, so that's fucking still gripes at me. I've never had as much hatred for another fighter. Even my old pal Barry from down in Sheffield. I wouldn't hate him as much as fucking the way that Lara conducted himself. There's also Lopez as well. You know, I'd love to have that one because he's a snake. He's a dirty snake. Like, the way that he conducted himself after the fight, hobbling around and fucking catwalks, I'd hate him to ape, and then fucking running down corridors, and then obviously people are saying how dangerous he is after the fight that he had against Conlon. He didn't fucking do that to me, and for 5 rounds of that fight, I were like, I won't say shell shocked, but I were a bit of a rabbit in headlights, you know, apprehensive about my jaw, and it took about a fucking 5 rounds and a bit of a good telling off by me old fella to say, Josh, pull your finger out bag, you're letting it slide here. As soon as I did that and switched myself on, then, you know, it all went my way, and I almost had him out a fair few times in that fight, but yeah, that one I'd like to run back. So there's a lot of things that I still want to do. Still have the interest of stepping up as well, becoming a 2-weight world champion. That appeals to me. I've been making favour for a long time now, and I make it comfortably still, but you know, that legacy / extra challenge is appealing, so we'll see what happens.
Mentioning about Alberto Lopez, and it's a fight that, I mean, it was a very, very close decision loss that you had to him back in December, but since then he has gone and put in a very impressive performance against Michael Conlon, so it is a loss that has aged well, so to speak, over time.
It's one of them. I've heard of a fair few people saying, I've heard a lot of people who went over to it saying, fucking hell, Josh is quite tough actually.
Yeah, maybe,
Josh is quite tough.
Finished,
yeah, Josh is quite tough. He fucking took a lot more than that, and I think we knew that he was a bit of a dangerous puncher, the way that he'd taken care of Isaac Lowe, and some of the ways he put Isaac down with the short, sharp punches and the reactions, very sharp. Like I said, it's all coulda, woulda, shoulda. All looking back at it now, I wish I'd have performed like this, and that's one of the hardest things to take. And maybe if I'd have started a round or 2 earlier, then does he seek final bell? I don't know. If started a round or 2 earlier, is it a little bit more convincing to me so that I should be awarded the decision? It's frustrating, you know. A lot of people, even, you know, some of the people in boxing circles and maybe some of the matchroom teams say, you don't really need to go down that avenue. Well, it's fucking for my own head, you know. I like everyone's blowing smoke up his backside and talking like I'm fucking finished. Yeah, because you didn't see the Josh Warrington who starts like he normally does. But I think everyone's forgetting that I've just fucking come off of a broken jaw, and I've not had the same kind of build up as, not making fucking excuses, but not having the same kind of build up as I would when I normally go into camp. You know, I'm normally sparring really early. We try to leave it as long as possible to make sure that we're 100% healed. And it's a different kettle of fish when you're sparring with big head guards on and 16-ounce gloves, so they're 8-ounce killers, you know, mittens. So, I think I needed that first few rounds to just see that everything was intact, but at the same time, I was, like I say, apprehensive. I'm going in, I'm watching the first few rounds, and I'm not throwing shots, and I'm letting him build confidence and build momentum because he knows I'm not throwing back, and it's as though I'm scared and worried about his power. And yeah, he's got a bit of a dig about him, but as soon as I started taking the fight to him, his energy level zipped, and I started to get to him. But then again, it aches to my performance because it just looked as though I was just desperate. So boxing really went out the window, and I was looking. I think, you look terrible there. Even times when I've got on ropes, I look terrible because I'm just trying so hard because I wanted it that much. But yeah, it's all learning, isn't it, Rob? It's all learning.
I remember we had a coffee before, a few months before. It had been in between the Kiko fight and the Alberto Lopez fight. I remember you saying to me then, I can't eat an apple yet. I can't bite into the apple yet. And he was thinking, and you were saying about how you get into the stage of your career now where maybe things aren't healing as quickly as they were in the past. And are you feeling that now? I'm not saying do you feel old, but are you feeling that?
We're back.
I feel like that all the time. I've done for years. But are you feeling kind of at a different stage of your career now? You're at a different stage of your career than you were?
Yeah, I'll openly say, like, I used to be able to go through a year, train constantly throughout a year and not need to have days off. I can't do that no more. I do have to have like a few days off. And there used to be a time when my old fella would say to me, Josh, make sure you fucking rest this weekend. And I'd stick trainers on and go do a few miles. And then I'd go back into the gym on Monday and went, you've been fucking training this weekend. No, you won't know. I mean, you have. Because my pal seen you running up the road.
It's usually the other way around, isn't it, for fighters, isn't it?
Yeah. Just obsessed with being as fit and as strong as and as good as I could possibly be. And maybe on them times where I would stick my trainers on when I feel like I don't need to rest, then I'd probably just, these days I'll probably do more technical stuff. I used to worry about being super fit, having all them fans behind you. They don't want to see you fucking gassing. They don't want to, when they're screaming and shouting, come on Josh, come on, hit him, and like there's a wave of noise. Last thing you want him doing is like clinching out and thinking, fucking hell, I'm trying, lads, I can't do it, I can't. Fucking gas. You want to be able to say, yeah, hearing that noise, yeah, I'm going to go up a gear now. So I've always wanted to be as fit as I've been, and I was always obsessed with thinking that I need to do as much as possible. Now I understand that I don't need to do that. As I'm ticking over, it's about peaking for that night, The Kicker Man TNS2 rematch were perfect for that. I was ticking over. I got COVID for the second time over that Christmas. January, with around 11 weeks. I had a few weeks out of gym because of COVID. I got straight back into gym from there onwards. But because I had a decent base level, we started working on game plans, started sparring about 9 weeks out. Fucking all ready to go. About 3 weeks to go, so 8 weeks into the camp. And I think that was like a reminder. Listen, there used to be times when I used to fucking want to train all the way up to fight night, but these days you don't have to do that. If my old fella says, right, Saturday, Sunday off this weekend, I'll take it. Things that I probably should have done when younger, like stretching, recovery sessions, I do a little bit more, but in my physicality, I feel like I'm better than I have been. Numbers on circuits and numbers on strength and conditioning and timings on the track, they're all up there still. I've recently been doing a lot of helping Max use and putting him under pressure. So right, you've got to hold an high pace because Cambosa's holding an high pace. So trying to just be there constantly in front, so it means throwing a lot of punches. That's still there if I need it. So and I think if anything, the mentality changes. There used to be a time when I think even getting to the stage of Selby and Frampton, like fucking hell, 12 rounds is a long time. But then as you get older, you've done it a fair few times and at an high level as well, and at high pace, you think it's not really. It's fucking over in a breath. You go in gym, you train fucking hours. Sometimes my warm up can be 8-9 rounds, and then you do bags on that or pads on that or sparring on top of that, and then you might do a bit of core to finish off, a bit like shadowing, and you've been in there 24 rounds and you're gonna do 12 rounds, 36 minutes. So the mentality's changed. I know ever think of it now, fucking like it's far away, because before you know it, you're into 7th, 8th round and you're not home straight.
Yeah, so I'm not saying that you like Bernard Hopkins. So obviously, he boxed quite a lot longer than you're, I'm sure, planning to box. But he said you train smarter, not harder.
Yeah, of course.
Yeah, it's not always about going in there
killing
yourself in the gym.
Fucking
That's all right. We've got plenty of time here. It's fine, no problem.
Just everyone to sleep.
That's all right. You're interesting to me. We'll do some heavyweight stuff in a minute, though. Keep it nice and interesting.
I've been headlining shows since 2014. You know, I've been fighting for titles since 2012. 18 months, I'd become like the next Ricky, and I was selling out arenas, and all of a sudden, you know, pressure's on, and I tried real hard to entertain. I mean, there's times when I pinch myself, like the support that comes out, and I think that's what drove me a lot of times.
Moving back, I mean, let's talk about some of your wins. You've had some brilliant wins. Let's not just dwell on the Lara fights and the Lopez fights and anything like that. Do you think anything will ever top the Lee Selby night? Or has something topped the Lee Selby night?
I mean, it's a good question. You know, Carl, we're closely, that's close to that, but you know, there's only ever one first, isn't there? You know, and sometimes people firsts aren't the greatest, but yeah.
Not always 12 rounds the first one.
Yeah, certainly. 30 seconds, it's done. But no, I think that I just had as an event, had everything, you know, been the underdog going into that fight, fighting at Ellen Road, Kaiser Chiefs, Lucas Radibe, everyone behind me, all the boxing world against me, my career online really, and it's tough to say because I'm only 27, but the hype job Josh Warrington, the ticket seller Josh Warrington, is going to go pop if he gets, and he will get schooled by Selby, and that was just a perfect year that year. My twin girls were born. We had that documentary out, Fighting for the City. Leeds' first male world champion. So yeah, just that is special. I mean, Bonsi said to me, he said, I've been all over. Having a chat with him before, and he said, I've been all over. He said, I've been everywhere. Been over to Mexico. I've watched Julio Cesar Chavez. I've watched Floyd Mayweather in Vegas. I've seen Ricky Hatton in Vegas. He says, but that Kiko Martinez too. Just when you stopped him, and as you're screaming there, and I'm stood, because obviously Leeds is a fan-based arena, and I've got my arms up and all the fans there. That was a fucking special moment. Me as a boxing purist and fan and lover of the sport, to see that were quite special. The way that he came back, become a 2-2 world champion. Surely that tops Ellen Road. I'm like, Stevie, what a special moment. It was a special moment, but it still wasn't as special as that Ellen Road night. So you know, I'd like to think that we've still got some good nights in us, and you know, I've always wanted to go to Las Vegas, win this belt back. I Mike Tyler with the WBC, win the green and gold one, become a 2-weight world champion. I don't know. There's special nights to be had, but certainly that one will always stay with me in high regards.
You mentioned there about, you know, Josh Warrington, the hype train. There's just a ticket seller. That was something that we worked in boxing a long time. So like hearing that, Josh Warrington's just a ticket seller, and don't want to get him beat because he does loads of tickets and stuff like that. When you're hearing stuff like that, second, third, fourth hand or whatever, what does that make you feel like at the time? How does that galvanise you? How does that motivate you?
It's like, how the fuck do they know? Who are these fucking people? And obviously, as you go by, like, everyone has an opinion. Or I've given my own opinion on fucking football before, you know. Fucking hell, he's donkey. Why does he play for Leeds? You know, but it's easy done. But I think because boxing, you know, the boxers are so reachable, and especially the early stages. It's like, fucking hell, who's that cheeky bastard to say that against me? They don't see the work that I put in here. They don't see the sparring sessions I've had. I mean, you know, as I'm coming through. Early days from English title and you know, early stage of British and European, but yeah, I'd mixed in the ring with likes of Carl Johansson, Gary Sykes, John Middy, Anthony Croller, some very, very big names, Stephen Smith. They'd done a lot more in their careers before I'd done. And I know sparring, but you know, you measure that pedigree with some of the opponents you're going in with, and you get into how that's fucking going to want to go so far. how can you label me that? I ain't been given that opportunity. I think one of the big ones was when I beat Dennis Tebbutt. Now I'd gone on a fantastic run. I beat Samir Menemne. I defended an English title 5 weeks prior to that for the second time. Beat Samir Menemne in his backyard. Then beat Renan Monroe. Then beat Martin Lindsay. Then went and won the European. Then went to Germany and stopped a lad over there. Just in a bit of a takeover, and I come back to Leeds, and fucking hell, in 18 months I'd become like the next Ricky, and I was selling out arenas and still working as a dental technician in a 9-to-5 job, and fucking big things are happening. I'm doing 8-minute slogs on ringside boxing and national radio. I went to Gaffer, can I have 10 minutes? I've got Talk Sport on dinner time. And then and all of a sudden, pressure's on, and I tried real hard to entertain in that Tebbutt fight, because I'd stopped a man in Germany, stopped a European fella, went 12 with Martin Lindsay, but I'd stopped Renan Monroe, stopped Samir Menemne, so we're on a good run, and I thought I was going to be the same again. But after 4 rounds, Dennis Tebbutt knew he wasn't going to win. He was petrified from the crowd, and all he did was hold and spoil me. And I was gassed because I was just trying so hard, and my adrenaline rush were pumping, and I won 120, 108, but fucking I got thrown at the bus by like Johnny Nelson, Paul Smith, and whoever else were doing punditry that night. Yeah, he's alright, but I think he's found his level now, and that's it. Everyone just fucking bombarded me on Twitter and social media. That's it. Josh Warrington can't punch. They should have blasted that kid out. And to make it worse, later that year, Mitchell Smith, the big bad Mitchell Smith, fought the same fella and knocks him out in a round. Oh, that definitely shows that Warrington fucking ain't got that punch power. Ain't got that level in him to go, to next stage. And it's like we just kept on grinding away, and people say stuff about me old fella. He's fucking, what the fuck does he know? He had no boxing background, what does he know? He sounds daft when he's fucking talking. Sounds simple when he's talking, but we just graft away, and the results have spoke for themselves.
Going that like traditional route, as it's kind of referred to now, how much did that give you, and how much do you think that people, because like nowadays it seems like, I saw a Commonwealth silver title the other day. I didn't know that there was such a thing in existence.
I've found out.
Yeah, it's just it's a Commonwealth. Wow. What?
Yeah.
But how much did that give you? And obviously it allowed you to kind of garner this massive interest that you had in your career and a huge fan base. But from a development point of view as a fighter, how much did that give you, and how much are potentially fighters nowadays not getting by not going the traditional route? And like, everyone's desperate to win a ranking title. So they say, look, I'm top 15, I'm going to win a world title. And it doesn't work out that way.
I can understand how people want to be, because they get to a stage when they're coming up. If you've done the route that I've done, small show, so you don't have a brilliant amateur career, or you maybe didn't have any amateur career, you turn over, you start building your fan base. It's probably about 5 or 6 fights going around the small shows where people start losing a bit of interest. Now we're going to start fighting somebody for titles, and I started to feel that around 7 or 8 fights. 7 or 8. Come on, Josh, by the time you get a belt now, step up a bit. I'm still learning, I want to start doing 6-rounders, and it's even more shorter now. People want to see you straight away going in with top level, but there's a lot to be learned. Now I turned pro at 18, and I was competing as a feather, and I probably shouldn't have been a feather. I probably should have been bantam. I was tiny. I could walk around at 9 stone. I was fighting opponents a lot heavier than me. Even fighting for the British title against Martin Lindsay, I remember looking at him thinking, wow, he's a bulk of a man. And I think that week, going to fight week at 9 stone 2, and I think he had to take a lot more off than I did. But my old fella would say to people who said, Josh is not feather, what are you doing, Sean? What are you doing with him? Listen, they'll build into it. They'll build into it when it matters. Now, maybe fast forward a few years, I probably would have struggled by the time I started getting to a decent level. Would have struggled to make a bantam or super bantam, but starting to get in the feather comfortably, and I win the fights quite comfortably enough. So that learned me a lesson. Not knocking over road sweepers. You know, people that say, "Oh, Joshua, who's this Josh is fighting?" When you look at all my record and my resume, throughout my career, from Deroy Spencer to Pavel Senkos in the melee ones, my third fight, I boxed a fella from Leeds who'd only lost to Tenny Flanagan, and he'd come to win. Then I boxed someone in my fourth fight who was made his debut. Fifth fight, I think I boxed a bit of a journeyman, but my sixth fight, we're taking a fight on short notice and gone up to fight someone who was meant to fight Renan Monroe in his backyard. So having them learning fights like that and challenges as well, fights that you're not going to go over, they're not going to fall over when you twist them around, building that false confidence. And I've seen it in the circuit, fighters going on to 19, 20, 21, 22, and they've not fucking boxed anybody with a winning record. They've got a British Masters over one shoulder, they've got an International Masters, they've got a WBA, international, but they don't even fucking won Central Area. They don't even won in English or a British, and they've got world rankings. You've got to learn to have them hard fights against decent opposition. You've got to learn to go them full distances. And I understand that some fighters want instant gratification. They want to be fucking trending on Twitter. They want to be all over, Instagram and TikTok, and everyone to talk about them, and see them on everyone's stories. But it don't work like that. It takes time. It takes time, and if you want to be there for a long time, then you've got to put in the graft and the work. If you want to be flash in the pan, then fucking have your highlight real knockouts against some fucking Latvian who's come for a payday, and then he's going to fuck off and no one's ever heard of, and then when you get to top level you get exposed and you'll quickly fizzle out, but you might have your couple of days in the sun. But if you want to be there for a long time, and fucking hell, I've been headlining shows since 2014. I've been fighting for titles since 2012. It's over 10 years going, and still going strong. So it's all come from that long process of building up, and even my old fella and my manager Steve Wood, he's not ready for that yet. He's not ready for it yet. Give him another couple of fights. He's not ready for that. And having someone to pull you back, when you're probably at a certain level.
When you're taking it step by step and you're taking those little incremental step ups.
Yeah.
Did you always believe that you'd become world champion, or was it, I just want to win the English title? No, okay, great. Now I want to win or were you all the time thinking, I'm going to do this, but I'm going to become world champion? How are you trying to manage that at those stages of your career?
Just taking one step at a time. One step at a time. I mean, I'm a turning pro thinking, fucking hell, 12 rounds is a long, long time. I do 6-3s with some lads now. I mean, it's coming through, sparring like Jay McDonald, Jason Booth, Dale Robinson. Fucking hell, these 6-3s are tough. Terry Flanagan. Fucking imagine doing 12 in front of a big audience and
little gloves.
In little gloves on television. I wouldn't do all that media stuff. I mean, you get nervous about doing all that stuff and the thought of doing all that prior to it, but you just take one step at a time. And I remember my fight against Chris Mail for English title. That was taxing. That was an hard 10 rounds, and won the belt there down in Dudley. Come back to Leeds and remember thinking, I want to be a lot fitter because I don't want to be going back to the corner after 8 rounds and my old fella saying, how are you feeling? Me going, Dad, I'm tired. Like, you need to grind deep, Josh. You need to really dig deep. I don't want to be feeling like that again. So you try to bet yourself and push yourself harder in training, and you progress, and then all of a sudden you've gone up a level. But it is a long process. It is a long process, and I think it wasn't until the stage of when me winning the British, and then we won the European, and like, do you know what? World isn't a million miles away, but at the time, I think we had like say Johnny Gonzalez and Abner Mares who were champions then, and Nicholas Walters, and we'd had like, don't get fucking too silly. Now we call each other Johnny. I call him Johnny Kebab. He calls me Johnny. One of the reasons being is I'm going to have to win it European. I said, I won't mind that Johnny Gonzalez fight. I think at the time he knocked out Abner Maris in WBC.
In a round. Yeah.
And after the press conference, Eddie were there. Eddie fucking like, fucking we'll get you in for that. Let's fast forward him. He's selling out arenas already. Let's fucking get him world titles. Like, you silly bastard. What did you say that for? I said, fucking hell, mate, no, you're not ready yet. You're not ready. There's a fucking bit of a gulf, and he could see that, and he would open and honest with me. And sometimes you need that, them people around you to say, just there's times you haven't fucking matured yet. You're only 23. You know, you've only just fucking got into doing 12 rounds fight. These guys have seasoned at it. They've done 12 rounds fucking 10, 12 times. You've only done them once or twice. Don't get carried away with yourself. So, you know, there's still things that you need to improve on, and it's only going through them kind of processes. And I think there was a moment when I'd boxed Patrick Ireland, and then I'd left Eddie and signed with Frank, and I had like 11 months out. But I had 11 months out. I was still training, but there were stages in that 11 month where I let my body rest a bit, and I could see myself more or less develop. You know, starting to get muscles as like a kind of man's body instead of a. I'm not fucking massive now.
Man strength.
You know, but yeah, that man strength was developing, and it was only then where I think, you know what, we're not a million miles away from where we need to be at that world level. But you still do question yourself, you know, is that big gulf? You only ever know until you are actually there. But, you know, being in the ring with Leigh Selby and Carl Frampton, fucking hell, that's the highest pinnacle. You still think, I could go well beyond this.
You mentioned your dad there. It's kind of it's always quite topical in boxing. I think the father-son, trainer-fighter combination, we've seen it work well. I think you're an example of that. And we've seen it work not so well. I mean, Teofimo Lopez kind of is a big example of it. Sometimes it's great, sometimes it's not. How has that relationship developed and been over the years? Because I'm imagining, you know, I'm sure there's been its ups and downs, and you've had moments where it's been hard, but obviously you've been able to share those brilliant nights together, which must make it all the more fulfilling,
all the more rewarding. And as soon as them nights are had, the arguments and the bullshit goes out the window. Listen, there'll be many lads from different camps who will have seen it firsthand. The arguments that myself and my old fella have had. I can say one specifically leading up to Selby. Okay, I was sparring with Zalfa Barrett, and the fucking old fella ended up storming out of the ring, out of the gym, and Zalfa and Pat were like, "What the fuck's going on here?" Like, just get your head back on it, Josh. I know what it is. And you know, Nick Manners at the time had to jump up on canvas, and my dad fucked off home. he'd had enough, like, but it's sometimes. The passions are high. He wants it as bad as I want it, and you know, he's seen me grow up, and maybe can get away with saying stuff to me than probably couldn't get away with saying to other fighters. But we've grown together, and it's always been sweet when we do get them wins. And like I say, you know, after the fights, it never comes back up. Like, you were a fucking wanker in that last camp, and you never get spoken about. It's always just the good times, and I guess that's what just happens. But you know, obviously forever grateful, because you know, growing up, my brothers sacrificed. You know, they missed out when my mum were taking me to the gym instead of taking them to football, or spending time with me, taking me to shows instead of, you know, taking them down to Welland Road to watch matches. So it's sacrifice to put in, but that's again a bit of a motivation for myself. Fucking hell, they've had to suffer, so I've got to work a bit harder than to make sure it's been worthwhile. And I'd say that's playing into a hand of having him there as a trainer.
What's been your best moment together? Was it winning the first world title?
Yeah, I think one of them has been special. But I think winning the British, I think he's got the glove at home, and I wrote a bit of a message, bit of a soppy message. But you don't really do soppy, me and my old man. He never tells me to my face how well I've done. I always hear it second hand. Your dad's proud of you. Well, is he? I fucking hear that. Calls me a wanker most of the times. But yeah, I wrote him a bit of a soppy message on one of my gloves, like, because we'd won British title, and I'd only had 20 or so fights. Like, we've done it with everything. That's what we'd set out to do at such a young age. We'd had won British title and topped the Leeds Arena, and I think that were quite a special one. But everything from there onwards has more or less been just bonus. But yeah, there's a video of him with IFL after I'd beaten Selby, and he's fucking having a cig, and he's he just fucking goes on a massive rant. English, British, they've all said we can't fucking do it, and we've done it, and fucking, we've shown him. Like, all his emotion came out then, and so, yeah, quite something there.
What did the message say on the glove?
Yeah, some things what I just left for that glove. Just how proud I am of him, and for helping me, and we've done it together. Mushy bollocks, really.
It sounds nice. One person I've not spoke to you about, and he's somebody we don't see an awful lot of. Some managers, won't name any names, but are more than happy to come in and have an interview. Some of them more so than the fighters are. Yeah. Steve Wood is not like that. We don't see an awful lot of Steve. I know he does some stuff with VIP and things like that. Pick up John Evans. But what kind of man is Steve, and describe the influence that he's had on your career, because it's been an amazing journey that you've been on together.
It's been a fantastic journey, and I consider Steve to be like family. I really do. But it's funny because I turned pro with Steve, and I had a joint managerial contract with Chris Ashton at the time, and I remember sitting down with Steve and Chris, and Steve said, "Are you not good at anything else?" I said, "Well, I work as a dental technician. You're not good at football or like that though, or tennis at all, because it's a fucking shit time to turn pro." And I said, "Right." He went, "Fuck all money in boxing as well, so don't think that you're going to get a load of money." Like, right. I looked at my old fella, and my old fella like shrugging his shoulders. And I think after this year or so, the board changed the rules, and they were scrapping the dual management contracts. So it come to a decision, and I remember Steve saying, "Listen, Josh, if you want to be with me, then I'll try my best. If you don't want to be with me, then I'll shake your hand and I'll wish you all the best for the future. Thank you very much." And like, I thought, well, fucking Steve's not interested. And like, Steve and Chris seemed to put a lot of time and effort in trying to, make sure I went with him. But my old fella said, like, listen, something in there. What he said to you there, Steve, and we ended up going with Steve. And throughout the years, I'm glad I made that decision, because he's helped me so much with stuff outside of boxing. You get to a level, you start earning purses, and you don't fucking know about taxes. You don't know about having a limited company. You don't know about being VAT registered. Managers are supposed to help you on that side of stuff, but I know a lot of managers in the boxing game don't. They like taking the 25% and fucking getting the faces on camera and saying how well they're a good manager, matching up them fighters, but they don't help them on the upside. And he's helped me with all kind of things like that. Things about getting sponsors on tables, speaking to some sponsors, getting contracts involved for sponsors. Things to do after boxing, things of where I should put in my money, things of investing. So he's helped me so much with that. And probably a few years ago, I could have said, Steve, I've got enough money, I can pay solicitors, I don't need you now. I have relationships, I've seen bits myself, I've learned bits myself, I've seen contracts myself, I don't need you now anymore. But I'd like to say that we're going to see his career out with Steve, and he's been a real gem and been a real good part of our team throughout the years.
Yeah, it's good to hear, because as we know, it's in boxing, it's not always a happy ending for fighters and managers, fighters and trainers, fighters and promoters. Of course, you've been around with promoters, and it's always good to hear that. It's nice to hear that loyalty, because it is a dying breed, particularly in a sport like boxing, which is, generally speaking, dog eat dog.
It is dog eat dog, and same could be said with me old man as well. People say, "Oh, why you fucking," in the early days you say, "Why you're an old man, or you need to beat yourself." I've seen something quite interesting on that Conor McGregor documentary recently, McGregor Forever, where he talks about the people who are around you in the early days are the ones you want to stick towards, because you yourself have got to better yourself, and sometimes people do become better fighters when they're with other people, with new trainers. I mean, Max Hughes, a prime example, he's flourished massively under my dad, but I think only times we've ever got it wrong has been my mindset, and that only. Lara won, ending clouds about thinking, who the fuck's this guy? Look at the state of him, man. He just over the dragged over here. I'm fighting for a ring magazine belt in 8 weeks' time, and then the second one being conscious about my jaw. But everything's been bonging throughout my career, and all my teams have always been close knit. Throughout the years, I've had I've had agents come through and, you know, we'll help you do this. We'll get blue chip companies on your shorts, Josh. You need to do this. You need to change your nickname because you're only going to restrict yourself to Leeds if you just keep calling yourself the Leeds Warrior. You need to just do this. Maybe you need to be a bit more aggressive in interviews. Yeah, it's not my cup of tea. You know, maybe you need to get this and that. I like people who are going to be open on this with me and just tell me the truth. And that's all my team has been from day one.
So it seems wild to me that anyone would suggest that you should kind of move on from a Leeds Warrior moniker or move over, considering what you've done in Yorkshire. Right?
Yeah. I mean, that's a conversation for another day. But yeah, we've. I remember sitting down one fella saying, "Job that Leeds Warrior, it's a bit of bollocks in it." I said, "What do you mean, pal?" And he said, "Oh, you're restricting yourself to Leeds, really." I said, "Leeds is a big city." Yeah, I know, but like, you want to be nationwide, you want to be worldwide, you can't be just Leeds. Well, that's proud of where I come from. And it's like, at school, I was always a boxer, always running on from school, you know, doing as alright as an amateur. So Warrington, one lad said, "Oh, Warrington, that's it." So Warrington, we kind of name it throughout school, and then there's fucking everyone's been called Warrior. Oh, I'm Leeds Warrior. Yeah, that's it, and that's where it's more or less been from my early pro career. And yeah, you need to drop that bollocks, mate. It's fucking not going to get you no far. Where is that guy now?
Yeah, you've done all right with it as well. Yeah. How important has that support been from Leeds? You mentioned like half of my family are from Yorkshire. They're not from Leeds, but they're half from Yorkshire. Yeah. And it is a very kind of Yorkshire as a place, whether it's Leeds or wherever you go, back your own, and it is very much a kind of a siege sort of mentality type thing where it's like you really come out for your own and really get behind your own. How important has that been in your career? And obviously being a Leeds football fan as well, and being able to box there and having the support from the club and the players, it sounds like that's a real dream come true.
It's been an absolute honour, and still is an absolute honour. I mean, there's times when I pinch myself, like the support that comes out. And I think that's what drove me a lot of times. You know, I've said many times I always wanted to put Leeds on the map in terms of boxing because, you know, the football, the rugby, cricket. Obviously, recent years, you know, like triathletes with Brownlees and gymnasts, Niall Wilson, for instance. But boxing, we're never really seen as a sport. No, not really boxing city. But I see it's flourishing now, and I'd like to think that while blowing smoke at my own backside, that I were part of that. But that's all I try to do is, you know, go on the city. Because at the time, Leeds United weren't doing too great. And people attach themselves to glory, don't they? Attach themselves to good nights. And we say, listen, you enjoy boxing, going around the pubs to Leeds and meeting new people. Oh, he's a boxing fan. Go speak to him, Josh. Oh, did you watch boxing? Yeah, I used to love watching. I was a big fan of Henry Wharton, big fan of Chris Eubank, Nigel Benn, all that some wars. Oh yeah, then you start talking about boxing. Hey, listen, I do a bit. Do you? How many you had? I have 7-0 now. Like trying to, you know, I'd like to win British title. Well, listen, best of luck, pal, and I'm there. I'll be there. I'll get a ticket off you, pal. And, you know, a lot of them have been there from the start and they still come now. You know, they've seen the journey from the fucking leisure centres and fighting on Sky Bills where I'm going on after the main event when stands are being taken down. Oh, there's still a 6-2s to go on. Josh, you're not doing a 6-3s now. We ain't got time. Fucking 6-2s now. Is that all right? Yeah, whatever. They've been there seeing the build up. You know, he's on Sky, Josh. He's on Sky this weekend. Can you believe it? Fucking what a journey it's been. He's going to be on Sky this weekend. Make sure we set that risk record. And, you know, my pal Josh there. And it's obviously it's got to a stage where there's people who come and support me who, no, I haven't met. Some of them I might not ever meet. You know, walking through London. Oh, fucking just today. Fucking hell, Josh, you're right, mate. You're a big fan. Followed you for a while, and I'm very appreciative of that because it wasn't always like that. And people think that you just fucking gifted that, but I worked hard to first of all build my name, and then secondly, you know, you've got to keep on winning for that support to stay with you. And also, you know, you have to you know, be yourself and act in a certain, you know, manner. Some people might have to force it. I'm just myself, but you know, for them to stay with me through thick and thin. After I lost to Lara, we come back to Henley. There's fucking 18,000 people there. You know, the Selby fight where I'm almost a 5-1 underdog. You know, they're all there in the Jones Summit to see me do the win. After the Lara 2 fight didn't happen and they packed out the Leeds Arena again, they thought Martinez to see me try and reclaim the world title. So I'm forever indebted for the support. And there's, you know, we talk about going to America, and people have talked about, Josh, got a fucking credit card there ready and waiting. As soon as you get that green light, let me know. Hey, I've been with you since day one, and I'm going to fucking see the end of it out. It's like, wow, mate. I've had sponsors who've, you know, don't even have a company no more, but just will sponsor you to the end because fucking we've been there on journey with you. And school lads, you know, lads who I went to school with, fucking, it'd be something really to say to grandkids that I went to school with Warrington who boxed in America, or boxed at Ellen Road, boxed at Edinley, filled Leeds Arena 12 times, boxed in Manchester, and he was only just a dosser like us from the state. You know, it's very fucking humbling, and I like to say I give credit to everyone who's paid their hard-earned money to buy a ticket. I still pinch, like I say, I've repeated myself here, but I still pinch myself, and I never take it for granted. Probably never give Eddie the credit that he deserves to his face. His fucking head to get even bigger, but he's already a big celebrity, so don't need fucking old little Warrington telling him how good he is.
You've mentioned America a few times. Is that, I mean, all being well and you get past Leigh Wood?
I hope so.
Yeah. Is that the one? Is that the final box to tick?
They might try to keep me over with someone else. Josh, you need to fight this geezer, actually. You need to fight him.
Kolmatov.
Yeah, there's some big money on the table for you. Just stay and fight him. Do good for our viewing figures. I hope so. You know, they've been saying it for a long time. You know, it's an event to go to watch in America, an heavyweight in America, isn't it? You know, an AJ, a Fury. It's an event. It's a say you've done it. It's to take a selfie in Wembley Stadium or in fucking Madison Square Garden or on Vegas Strip. I mean, yeah. Fucking go watch McGregor in the UFC. Don't know fuck all about UFC, but I'm here. Look, I'm here. But for my supporters, it's fucking hell. Yeah, it's the razzmatazz is all good and glamorous, but a lot of my supporters and fans have kind of grown up watching Atten do it and think, we'd like that, Josh. Take us to America, please. Leeds United have taken some of the older fan base around Europe with the football, but they won't be ever able to take them to America. I still can, and it's just like it becomes folktale, and like some of my pals have jokes about it, like, okay, now imagine that walking down the strip, coming out one of the casinos, fucking seeing your daft dead on fucking LED boards. Imagine that, Josh. Fucking like casinos and that on blackjack tables, and we have a laugh about it, but all of a sudden it's reality. It could be there. So I'm hoping so, mate. I'll be disappointed if I do get to the end of my career and it didn't happen, because, you know, previous promoters have talked about it. Eddie's talked about it for a long time, and like I say, it's a cult following, and alright, we may not take 20,000, 30,000 over the first time we go, but I do think there'll be a fair few thousand who do go over, and I'm sure it'll be a hell of an experience.
You mentioned Eddie and Frank, of course, two of your promoters that you've had in your career.
Yeah.
Obviously, both very different people.
Yeah.
How have you felt dealing with both of them? You won a world title with both of them.
Yeah.
How are they different? How are they the same? What's your relationship like with both Eddie and Frank? You're at the stage of your career now. You can say what you want.
Yeah.
Right, don't matter.
I think I've had them at different stages, haven't I? So like Eddie, when he was coming through, hungry and ambitious, and I think the first time round he was a little bit more hands-on and talks to you. I couldn't imagine him talking to too many of his domestic fighters now. You know, but like when I was with him the first time round, coming through against Samir and Rendell and Martin Lindsay and all that, you know, you'd have a lot more personal chats with him. And then, you know, what for whatever reason we moved away. Frank, I think Frank was a lot more personal. You know, I'm around the show. Frank's a really interesting character and he gets a lot of stake, and probably people don't say that, but, you know, sit down and have a cup of tea with Frank, and you know, I think my dad enjoyed his company as well because he'd tell a good story and always had time for you. Obviously, they got to a stage where we couldn't really do too much for us, couldn't Frank, but then, you know, we had some good years with him. And obviously, he come back to Eddie, and obviously Eddie's grown and grown. Probably never give Eddie the credit that he deserves to his face. Because fucking Eddie get even bigger, but he's already a big celebrity, so don't need fucking old little Warrington telling him how good he is. But he has done boxing in the world of good. He gave everyone the kick up the arse when it needed it. You know, let's not forget, even I can remember turning pro and fighting on shows in leisure centres, and that was a fucking Friday night fight night. British title, and they achieved support for 8 rounds on, you know, the fight underneath it. Then they fill the card with just highlights of the best fights at night. That's all it was. 2 hours on Friday fight night, and then you've got stadium fights week in, week out, arena fights. We've been spoiled, and he has made everyone raise a game. But I do say, I probably would say, a lot of his interest over the last few years has been building himself in America, and obviously ambitious. But there's not really that personal touch. I mean, some people may think that he fucking comes around to mine for, you know, a cup of tea and biscuits on a Sunday. It's fucking not like that. It's, you know, we get down to business. We fight. We talk a lot more when fights are getting made, and then after that, you know, you do what you do. He does what he does, and you know, see each other at shows. Maybe do interviews together, but it's relevant to the quiet in between.
Last week, couple from me. We're going to do some more light-hearted fun bits in a minute. Do you think you're a dirty fighter?
Yes, horrible fucking dirty Leeds bastard. Bash. Bash. Fucking what else am I going to get tarnished with? Feather-fisted, headbutting, ticket selling Warrington.
You've done all right for all of those things,
not done too bad. It's funny how people don't have their own opinion these days. One person jumps on it. I was just talking about earlier about people scoring the fight. Someone will say, fucking, I seen that fucking 120, 108, yeah, and everyone else, yeah, fucking, I agree with you. Have you actually sat down and watched? No, I've seen the fucking highlights where you've seen best bitch. I just see the actual fights. You know, one person might have said, I'm a dirty fighter, then next minute it's fucking all dirty fighters. I go forward with my chin down, top of my head, toughest part of cranium's there. You know, if I'm going forward and another fighter's going forward, then it's clash happens. Just, I'm lucky enough that when I've clashed heads, I've never come off cut, and sometimes opponents have come off cut. I don't fucking go in there whipping LS9 kisser on them. You know what I mean? It's like, I never get told, Josh, point off head. But maybe it might fucking start pushing referees to fucking giving points off them, but they never see that in the action. You know, when you're in there up close, things happen. Never fucking intentionally look for heads, but say you get tarnished for one thing and that's it. That's everyone fucking jumps on board. You know, everyone used to be the same with ticket seller. Everyone seems to be the same that can't punch. It's just the same now. No one's really talked about Lara fighting Wood and then, you know, jumping forward with Ed. You know, come up a few times, Ed eye, Wood gets cut. No one fucking mentions it. But I go forward, get involved, and it's a fucking boxing match. It is a fight. This fighters get up close. No one fucking mentions it there. So, you know, what are you considering dirty? You know, heads going together because elbows go in.
Forearms. Yeah.
People use forearms. People use a bit of like, I should say, Tai Chi, and they fucking lift each other's arm. What is Lomachenko fight? Because he lifts people's arms up and then throws punches in. Is that dirty? You know, it's a physical fight, and yeah, you can't fucking intentionally headbutt somebody. But when your heads are in close and, you know, you are pushing to get room, you might use a bit of physical force from your body, and that's it. But I've never intentionally looked to fucking headbutt anybody. Well, maybe it's a lie. Kid Gallard round 11. And in a clinch, and I thought, fucking close here, bash. But no, that's I get a bit stick, but you just gotta fucking laugh at it. I mean, he's beat the same. Alberto Lopez. I mean, that one in, I think it was 6th or 7th round, I'd hit him, and one of the punches landed like there on his hip. No intention. You're going full of flurry. Sometimes not always textbook, but punches are coming from here, and as a fighter's turning round, lands on his side, and next minute he's going, Referee gives him fucking 3 minutes now. 10 seconds prior to that, I caught him with a right liver shot, and I heard him go. Ugh! He's fucking used that 3 minutes. You just saved him there, potentially from that being a 10-8 round. Because I hit him again, he's going down. You know, he kept on talking about, oh, he's dirty fight. He's fucking, heats round back of the head. Yeah, I'm fucking, because I've got octopus arms. I've turn round and go bosh at back of your head. Don't, you know, people just listen to what he's saying, complaining about, because it's not always gone his way, and he's not looked as flash as he should have been. But when you tight hooks are going in and people are turning and punches come on their side, you know, side of the head, it happens. But it's fucking. Sometimes I don't get on social media and argue with these fucking clowns, and I think that's because of that. They get a bit of ammunition, and when I have spoken to people about it, they go, oh yeah, actually you're right there, Josh. No, I just seen that people have been calling you. Well, no, you came to me and said, oh, you're a bit of a dirty fighter, Josh, and I fucking told you why cuts happening. You're going, oh yeah, no, just what they can start backtracking. Yeah. So yeah, what do you think, Rob? I'm a dirty fighter in your opinion?
I always I've actually I've been asked this a few times, and I have a similar sort of outlook to you. It's not a tickling competition, and the referee's in there to referee the fight. Now, the way you fight is very attritional. You come forward, and other than really Selby, I mean, Frampton, I know Frampton's not a brawler, but he likes to let his hands go, and that version of Frampton under Jamie Moore wasn't as light on his feet as he was down at Super Bantam. So you meet Luis Alberto, you meet Mauricio Lara, you meet. It's not a tickling competition. And you are going to have instances where you have head clashes and things like that. I'm quite old-fashioned in the sense of I do like the referees to referee the fight. And for some fighters who are dirty, mentioning you, or mentioning any names, if the referee allows them to get away with certain things, then they're going to get. Floyd Mayweather is considered by many to be one of the greatest defensive fighters. Yes, slick and this, that and the other. Elbows, forearms, pulling down the head, glove over the mouth. It's a fight. Exactly. It's a fight. So I would probably say that you're an aggressive fighter and you're a rough fighter, but a dirty fighter I'd stop short of.
I mean, I could talk about one there, and I think he's only recently been tarnished for it a little bit more than that kid. You know, that box.
Pinching and stepping on the foot, and forearms and heads.
Done plenty of stuff with that with myself. Grabbing my nose. Quite clever, actually. Gets me in a headlock and pinching my nose. I fucking complain about it.
It's the dark arts, isn't it?
It's a fight, and people do stuff inside. Like, Atten used to fucking throw people's shoulders up and, you know, use an elbow and pull people onto his body shots, pull them back and pull them onto it. You know, there's going to be little bits of inside tactics and stuff, but, you know, dirty fight. Well, even the last one, that fucking, I remember in that first 4 rounds being apprehensive, like, and fucking being a bit cautious, and then thinking, I need to get this win, and we're going to be fighting in fucking unification fights. You're going to be back to where you should have been a few years ago. And, like, we clashed heads, and he's gone back to corner. And I think I'm thinking, that left me a bit flat as well. After the third round, and he's fucking like that, and then see blood trickling. I thought, fucking hell, here we go again. Like that. I'm just going to get fucking tarnished from referee now. Like, he's going, and then be fucking didn't half make a meal of it, they did Lopez. But thinking, fucking hell, no, I can't do fucking anything now without, you know, this is that. You can half hate fucking Twitter messages, you know, stuff like that. So, right?
That's always okay.
What I say?
He's alright.
Swearing?
He's alright.
Yeah, sorry, mate.
But you're okay. You're fine. Last question I had before we're going to get on to do some other little bits. What advice would you give yourself back in the day? So when Steve Wood's there telling you this, that and the other, what advice would you give to that Josh Warrington other than listen to Steve Wood?
Don't get punched to the head for a living. Probably, sounds a bit silly, but be a bit more busier on social. And in the early stages, like, it took me a while to get, like, Twitter up and running, and then I struggled to do it, you know, because what do people want to see me tweeting about? Why do want people see me eating this for my breakfast or doing this for training? But then contradicts himself, because I like to see other athletes doing that. So and obviously we've seen how much it's grown, you know, having YouTube channels and things like that. So probably in that side of marketing, done that a little bit more better, Obviously, I've done the physical thing, the old school way, in early stages, and even carry on to this day doing that. But yeah, I probably would have got a team in a little bit earlier, and done that. And secondly, stretch.
Yeah.
I wish I'd have stretched a little bit more, just to be a little bit more looser. There's times when I used to be able to go to 10 laps of 800 metre sprints on the track, then go do 12 rounds of sparring after, and wake up next day and feel good, ready to go again. But these days, if I don't do that stretching, I'm tight. I'm very, very tight. So probably stretch.
Social media and stretching. Well, you've done all right apart from those two bits. Not bad for a ticket selling, dirty, feather-fisted bloke from Leeds.
Yeah.
So but still plenty more to come. But unfortunately, that is all that we've got time for here today. So thanks very much to Josh Warrington, of course, for stopping by, and to you for watching another edition of One on One with. Don't forget to hit that like, comment, and subscribe button before you leave us, and we'll catch up with you next time.
I kind of fell out of love with boxing. I hated it. I remember getting on the train sometimes on the way up to Sheffield, and I'd generally cry on the way up, and I'd look at the platform opposite and think I could jump on that and I'd be back in London, St Pancras in no time. It wasn't until my auntie got terminally ill with cancer that she said to me, Ellie, like, I want to get baptised and I'd love for you to do it with me, and it was one of the best days of my life.